Welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to be making wax melts. I actually got this recipe from the Handmade magazine from Wholesale Supplies Plus. It really only has 3 ingredients: palm kernel flakes, the beeswax, and the fragrance oil. So it's really simple. The thing that I did different was I obviously used a different fragrance oil, and then I used different ratios for things. So you can go ahead and find yellow beeswax just about anywhere, and same with the palm kernel flakes. Those are pretty easy to find too. I just thought this would be a good video geared kind of towards people who make soap, because you probably already have both of these ingredients on hand. I know there's a lot of wax blends that you can buy pre-made, or make your own. You can also use things like coconut oil as well. So I just was trying to come up with a different recipe to share with you guys so you guys can see the way that this comes together. So I'm only making 4 today that will go in the clamshells. I have exactly 5.04 ounces of each, the beeswax and the palm kernel oil. And then once that was measured out, I added the fragrance oil. If you want to make all 50 of these, you can bump the recipe up. The original recipe says 63 ounces of beeswax and 63 ounces of the palm kernel flakes. I didn't want to fill all 50 of these because I just kind of do this stuff as a hobby, and I know a lot of you use this for business, but the ratios and the measurements come out a lot nicer if you do all 50 of them. So I just went ahead and put those on my double boiler, and it only takes a few minutes for that to melt down. I would say probably about 5 to 10 minutes. These are the containers that I'm going to use for this tutorial. If you have like little silicone molds, you can probably use those too and do fun shapes. I just like these because they are kind of more like if you're doing business, and which at the time I was going to sell these, but again I don't. These are really nice because they also have the hanger hook thingy. So if you're planning on marketing these or putting them in a store or something like that, it makes it easy. Or even if you're just doing craft shows, you can buy one of those little peg hook things and hook them up, and it'll be really convenient and nice. So for the fragrance oil that I'm choosing for this one, I'm going to use leather fragrance oil and lavender. I really love leather as it smells. I was going to put it in a soap, but I just decided, you know what, let's go ahead and make these wax melts because that'll be good too. I figured it was a nice unisex sort of smell. It's not for everyone though. I know mostly masculine people like that smell. I love it though. Anyway, and then these are the colors. I'm going to make a custom blend of these colors and mix them together and put them into the waxes once they're melted all the way down. So it's been a couple minutes and it does look like they're about melted down. So I'm going to go ahead and just mix the colorants and the micas directly into it when it's hot, so that way I have more time to work with it. I ended up using about 2 full spoons of each color. At first I started off really light, and then as I was mixing I was realizing you needed a little bit more. A little fun tip that I learned, I don't remember where exactly I saw it, but somewhere on YouTube. People were taking like just a white piece of paper and then stirring the wax a little bit and then taking it and dripping it over the white piece of paper to kind of get the color that they were going for. So I'll show a clip of that in a minute. It actually came out to be a little bit darker when I poured it into the clamshells, which was a good thing because I was worried that you weren't going to see it. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you a couple different shots. It's really hard to see how it mixes here, and it was looking really gorgeous, but again, my camera doesn't like the way that looks, so it was hard to show you guys. And these are my little color tests. Like I said, I just was taking a drop or 2 at a time, and that last drop was a little bit darker purple is what I went with. So once all the mica was fully incorporated and I felt like everything was melted down really well, I went ahead and took it off my double boiler. The directions on this say that we need to keep the temperature under 145 degrees Fahrenheit. That helps the fragrance oil, you know, not burn off when you pour it into the mixture, because if it's too hot, that fragrance oil is going to evaporate as soon as it hits that. So I did have to sit around for a while and kind of mix until I got the temperature about 145. And as you can see, this fragrance oil for some reason was a little bit red. That was the leather colorant that I added to it. So just keep that in mind. If you are trying to do like a white or something, you might have to kind of pay attention if the fragrance oil is going to discolor the product. And as I was waiting for this to kind of cool down a little bit, I was making sure to keep everything that was sticking to the edge of the glass container and scraping it off and just kind of trying to incorporate it back into the mixture. I feel like with this thick glass container, the wax does stay warm a little while longer. So if you were wanting to add the color at this stage, you could. I just personally don't make wax melts as often, so I didn't feel comfortable, you know, kind of just sitting around and waiting to chance it to see if it would, you know, harden up really quick, because last time I worked with beeswax, it hardened up super quick and it was just kind of a mess. But then the last thing I did was I went ahead and poured it into these clamshells. I did have just about enough. I did have to melt down some of the stuff at the end again that was left in the glass container to kind of top off these clamshells. Again, I was just making 4, so we weren't using the full measurements. We were just doing about 5 ounces of each wax, and then about an ounce to 1.2 ounces of the fragrance oil to kind of fragrance these. And you can play with the mixture and do what you want. And like I said, if you wanted to do a full 50, you would do 63 ounces of each wax and 14 ounces of the fragrance oil. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. If you like things like this or you want to see more wax melts, either leave me a comment or give a thumbs up on the video, because it helps the channel and it lets me know that you guys like the type of content that I'm putting out. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again in a week. One more thing I forgot to mention is you do want to let these sit about 24 to 48 hours to fully cure, and you leave the lids off during that time. I just wanted to remind you guys to do that. Sorry about that.